What's up guys, welcome back to the iherng podcast, and today we will answer a question from email. This is from a newbie in property. Hi Sean, happy holidays. I hope my email finds you and your family in best conditions. I have just recently, about a month back, came to know you through your YouTube channels, and since then my husband and I has been following your reviews without fail. I like them very much as your assessments always hitting the bullseye. No sweet words. For an old lady like me who never laid eyes on property, it's like an eye-opener to me, and this is the reason why I am writing to you now. I'd like to get your advice on two questions I have, and before that, below are some facts to aid your consideration. My personal details: in 2024, I will be 55. Current monthly gross income is around 32,000. Plan to work until 60. My eldest son is 24 years old, just started working. Youngest son is 21, no income yet. Current monthly commitment: a car installment of 1,007, 4,006 for insurance, 2 life and 4 medical policies, plus 1 recently purchased MLTA that covers around $1 million until age 75. Own a fully paid double-story linked house in Puchong. Estimated current value is around 3 million. EPF savings by 2024 is around 1.7 million. Recently purchased a freehold condo at 1.2 million at 90% bank loan for own stay. Decided to keep cash in EPF, like you say, buy property using other people's money. Very good. July 2024 to start serving new housing loan, which is around $1 million at 3.85 loan interest for 15 years. Ooh. Due to personal character, I do not invest in stock, bonds, trusts, etc. The following questions are mainly for the concern of how to preserve and grow our wealth to pass on to the next generation. Question 1. Plan to get an apartment in KL area for rental investment purposes. Targeting Sunway Velocity 3 that is launching in 2024 or Velocity 2 sub-sale. Need your advice if this is a good move at my age to get the third property. Number 2, judging from my cash versus commitment versus age for the next 2 years, is it advisable or doable to get a bank loan to get the fourth property for rental investment in Q3 2026 or near future? PS. Hopefully eldest son payslip can blend in for bank loan application in order to build his profile. Thank you for your time. This is from Sam, a newbie in property business. So thank you very much. I'm glad that you like all the videos, and thank you very much for sharing all the context, like just a summary of it, right? Like this year you're 55. 32,000 per month, 2 kids, 24 and 21, solid. So you're not overspending on anything at all. Car installment 2,000, around 4,005 for insurance. I'm just counting the number of assets first. So you have a double story linked corner house in Puchong, estimated 3 million, fully owned already. Very good. In EPF, you got 1.7, very good. You just purchased a freehold condo, 1.2 million. And I guess the new housing loan that you're going to serve in July, right? It's that lah. So I think 90% of that is around the 1 million at 3.85. So that's a very good interest rate lah. Roughly now, the loans that we're getting is at 4.05 or 4.1. So 3.85 is very good, but only for 15 years. So at your stage, right? A few things to highlight is you have money, right? Your income is solid, so getting a loan is most likely not a problem, but the main problem here will be the age. So you are 55. Most banks will go on this 65, and some banks will go on this 70. Then I think you got one for 15 years already, so I think it's 70. So that's good for you. And because it's at 15 years loan, right? Our normal conversations where it's to find properties where rent can cover installment, right? This will be very, very hard to be adapted within your context. So a good gauge then to be used will be the yield. Yield is tabulated by taking 12 months rental collected divided by the selling price. And as long as that's like 1% higher than the interest rate, then we're all good. Which means that we can somewhat cover the interest, then plus some money to cover the maintenance costs and everything else. So usually within the market itself, for many years already, it has always been around 5 to 6%. 7% is a bonus, like 10 to 12% borderline illegal, which also means like it's out of norm. Out of norm is where usually you will have like tourism-based locations like Port Dickson lah, Genting Highlands lah, Langkawi lah. Those properties that are operated in a so-called business that you describe in an Airbnb format, but those are risky. So those are seasonal, and currently a lot of apartments management team are actually banning short-term stays from being operated within their premise itself. So this is something that a lot of you guys needs to be really careful with it, because as a resident, I really don't like other owners running an Airbnb business within the premise. So every time I bring my kid on an off day to the swimming pool, I see a bunch of strangers and they treat this place like a hotel, which is not. So that's something very important to take note first. That's why I often advise everybody who is younger than 35 years, right, to invest as soon as possible, because we get the best rate at 35 years. So everything you divide by 35, right, it becomes way more affordable. But at the later stage where people like Sam here, you have developed your career, you have lived long enough already, then now you have money. So moving to question 1, planning to get an apartment in KL targeting Sunway Velocity 3 or Velocity 2 for sub-sale. Is this a good move? I've just been to Sunway Velocity 2. My friend, the video is going to come out very soon. So he bought directly from the developer, and his new rent can actually cover more than his installment and partly of his maintenance fees. He doesn't cover full maintenance fees, but that's very good already, despite him buying directly from the developer without exercising any privileges. Like, you are not a business consultant, he's not somebody's offspring, he's not a VIP or a YouTuber, he does not get any discount, and that's very rare where a new property that's within the market, right, can break even. So to me, at your stage, right, I think the location within that part of Cheras itself is very convincing due to the development of TRX, and now with the brand new Exchange Mall, right? Wow, and the hype is there, everyone is there, the office building is getting a lot of new tenants. That's good for business, good for real estate. And if I'm at your state, there's a few things I need to think about. So it's your third property, so you will only get at maximum 70% financing and at 15 years. That's going to be a crucial part. So let's say any property there around 800,000 to $1 million, right? $1 million, you need to have 300,000 upfront, including some makeover guys renovation. So it's around 360,000 upfront. So you gotta be prepared for that. Here then, I will do something different instead, because now with your amount of money, right, you can afford certainty. Which means, for people who, like my friend, cannot afford to buy because they got limited bullet, they got limited cash, right? Too bad. So they will need to buy only directly from developers because they offer minimal upfront payment. And that has always been the theme for the entire development. I think now, this year is also going within the same route itself. They're going to prioritize home ownership, not best investment practices. So investment is going to be like within this circle only lah. So again, if I'm you, I will venture a lot on sub-sale, because sub-sale, I get to see the unit, I get to gauge the rental rates, I get to gauge the condition, I get to pick the units with the view I want, and I get to nego until I'm happy. Because if you were to walk into a sales gallery, prices are fixed. You cannot do anything as an individual. Too bad. So this is the route that I will go into. I guess you can also venture around, because in that area, right, there are so many other properties. Of course, Sunway Velocity, because the entire Velocity is developed by the developer, is very tempting. But just look around the median price of that area, which means that you can go to Una, you can go to La Ville, you can go to Park 3, you can go to Vertica, you can go to some older condos around the area and look at the opportunity, because ultimately we look at yield. So my suggestion is to venture around the market first, go into sub-sale, because buying directly from developers is not the best deal in your circumstance. And besides sub-sale, you can go into auction market, you can go into bulk purchase deals, and that is something I would recommend as well. Because there are a lot of deals within the market where the developers cannot openly sell their product as a discount. So when the company buys things in bulk, they get better discounts. We don't have to exhaust our cash or capital upfront so much. So let's say if the developer gives like 25% or 20% discount, instead of paying 30% upfront, we can pay 10% upfront only, so we get to save a lot of money and we get the best deal in the market, and that is something that I'm obsessed about. And I think this is a perfect example also when I was interviewed by Jin in his podcast, right, Ginny Boy. He was asking, is there a possibility that we have various buying channels within the existing project? And I guess this can be one. Like, this is a completed project, but where you still have some stock from the developer, you already have owners moving in, so there will be possibilities that some are for sale. Then you have some owners who cannot make it, maybe there might be possibilities of auction units as well. But for sure, within this developer itself, they do not work with bulk purchases. That's out of the picture. So within these three channels, right, which channel gives you the best access to the best price? That's what I'm obsessed about. Don't treat this like a kanjiong must buy kind of thing, because I think you are there already financially. Now we're talking about passing over to the next generation, right? So we just need to make sure that we buy right. And question 2, judging from my cash versus commitment versus age for the next 2 years, right, is it advisable to get bank loan for the 4th property for rental investments? I think at your income, I don't think it's a problem at all. You know what? Let's do a rough calculation. Mortgage calculator. So this is a tabulation of how much a monthly installment would differ if you were to take 15 years loan versus a 35 years loan. And let's say we are taking a loan of 900,000, interest rate is around 4%, for 35 years. Every month we are going to pay around 3985. Yeah, 3985. So in order to qualify this loan, let's take a rough estimation, you times 3, right? So you will need to earn around 12,000 at least to qualify for a loan that's 900,000. Okay, but if you were to take only 15 years per month, now you need to pay around 6,657 a month, which is 6,007 a month compared to just now 4,000 a month. And to qualify for this, now your income needs to be around 21,000, and that's going to be the main difference for your ball game, right? The strategy around your affordability heavily relies on the loan tenure. So there are some ways to go about it, right? So one is to go via the Property Investment Club bulk purchase route, so you get better deals on properties, and then to also think about how to utilize your savings or cash, because like I've looked into your fully paid double-story link corner house in Puchong, right? I don't know whether is it family home or you guys are staying in it. So if you guys are staying in it, then okay, let's not touch it, right? But now I'm very curious with the amount of cash savings that you have. It's going to be a real balance between protection, like your medical bills, right, your money expenses, and because you work so hard already, sometimes you want to splurge a little bit on things, splurge a little bit with vacation and family time. You need to balance that as well, versus legacy to your children. Because now I think at this state is sufficient already. You are winning already. You have a fully owned house, acquired 2 properties, we got 1 more coming up front. You're thinking about a 4th one already, right? I think you guys are winning already. So now it's whether to win more or win less on behalf of the next generation. And the answer to that question, cash versus commitment versus age, right, only you can answer. There's no right balance or right perception or right way to live. Ultimately, we also need to talk about flexibility in emergency funds. So like now, if you really need cash of 1 million, or you really need cash for medical reasons or for education reasons, but no more, I think they are working with it, so no need already. To me, is it doable to get a bank loan? Confirm doable. As long as you got money, right, banks will never reject business one. And if you can qualify for the loan, so let's say you need 20,000 income to qualify for the loan, is sufficient and the bank is willing to give, take lah. As long as the property can give you the yield that you want. But now, even if the yield is like 6% or 7%, right, that is very good already, it will still be a negative cash flow on your side if you were to max out financing. It means like now, okay, if 1 million, the property is generating me maybe 4,000 in rent. Pretty solid. So it's going to be a debate where I just pay enough cash so that my monthly installment can break even with the rental, so I'm good. And that will be the game moving forward. That will be the new gauge of affordability in your context, where, okay, for example, like this property, I need to put in 400,000, then I take the remaining in 15 years loan. It's high, but the monthly rental can actually cover my installment. I'm all good. just that the upfront capital will be the difference in your context. So that's another additional thought process on top of the yield. So yield, we can make it's 5.8% for example, and then now I need to cough upfront 400,000. Do I have a break even every single month? I'm good. And that will be your metric of affordability moving forward. So it's going to be a very safe format where, let's say, if you no longer have job security or you no longer want to work, you won't be disturbed by these negative cash flows. But the thing here is going to be the conversation of cash in FD versus putting the cash in real estate versus putting the cash in stocks or somewhere else. You mentioned that you don't like stocks or bonds or trust, whatever. I think it's not too late to actually venture into them. It's not too late to actually study some. Look at some blue chip stocks, look at those high dividend counters, right? Because myself, I don't shout about this a lot, but actually I do hold stocks also, but it's like those lazy format stocks lah. Just every quarter I collect money and that's about it. I keep quiet. Invited to AGMs, but what for I go? Then the next topic will be to teach your elder son. So like now he's 24, around 25 already, right? I think he should start watching my channel. Like the 21-year-old one also, and it really depends on whether are they interested or do they have their own gig they are going to venture into. Honestly, I'm envious of your state. Sam, you have done a great job in crafting security protection around the people you love already. Very, very good job, and now you are just growing and figuring out how to preserve more for the family. So in conclusion, for those who are watching who are younger than 35 years old or 30 years old, right? We are at the winning side because our money commitment is going to be lower, and with lower income we get to qualify for the same property. If you have compared just now for a 900,000 loan, right, a 35 years versus a 15 years loan, the difference is big, and it's only going to get harder and harder to start investing. But that's not ultimately. If you're high flying in your main gig, in your main job, right, a gross income of 32,000 a month, a lot of people can't even break the mind block of 10,000 a month. So thank you very much, Sam, for sharing this, right? 32,000 a month, at 55. So clearly money is not an issue provided your expenditure is fine, like you don't spend or right, you get what I mean. Then at 55 with a lot of money, what should be the metric of consideration? The criteria of investment should be yield. So what would be the yield that you are looking at? So when you look into properties now, you should really take yield as the North Star. Okay, this is 5.5, this is 5.8, this is, in a good month, 6. So let's look into that property. Then the next layer of the filter will be the discussion between upfront payment versus monthly installments. Am I okay to bleed 2,000, 3,000 a month for a property, but it has a yield of 6% per year, or I'm okay to cough in 300,000 as long as the rent can cover my installment, I'm all good. So that highly depends on how much reserve you have as saving and how comfortable you are at risk. Right? So my advice here is you are already living a for sure win game plan, just that be very cautious in deals that are too good to be true kind of thing. Also to venture besides the new property channel, because you got cash, right? Because you got qualification in money, you can actually venture into other formats where sub-sale, auction, as well as bulk purchase, and this is something I will highly recommend. Because your case study, whenever you go, right, it's going to be very difficult to swallow all the money installments. So there are ways to go about it. And the last thing is, hopefully your elder son or younger son will be very interested in property investment. And I guess that's all for today. Thank you very much, Sam, for writing in this email. Very inspiring. How I wish I could be like that when I am 55. Thank you very much for sharing. And for those who still have any questions regarding real estate, do just email me at taniherng@gmail.com. You can just DM me on Instagram, iherng, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Ciao.
When love comes in